You ever been in a situation where somebody says something slick to you while you out and everybody heard it and everybody's reacting all crazy? And now you feel like you have to do something about it. You ever gave a nigga a 2-piece better than Popeyes for talking about your mama? You ever been out and about with your lady and something happens and because she's with you, you feel like you gotta add a little extra sauce to your response?
Oh, wow!
What? Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
That inner feeling you get, that battery that gets put in your back, that's called pride. And pride's a tricky thing because it's necessary, right? But if it goes unchecked, it can destroy you, or even worse, it can cause you to destroy others. A lot of fights, deaths, killings, any conflict really, a lot of times it's centered around pride, or that's the culprit of it all. The other day I'm scrolling through Twitter and I come across a video by a man named Jason Wilson. He runs a podcast and he's the CEO of a company based in Detroit, like a non-profit that helps the youth and everything. He's a really good man. But anyway, I come across this video where he's speaking to 2 young men about how to handle disrespect and stuff like that. And we're gonna check it out right here.
It was one time in middle school where I was confronted by this older classmate. He said something to me about like a problem that I had with learning. Like it wasn't like a problem. I just learned slower than other people. He said something about my mom. He said that, oh, your mom is dumb, so that means you dumb. So I don't typically fight people unless they say something about my mom. So once he said that about my mom, I stood up and I hit him and I got suspended for that day.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate your transparency because that's what Brother Will Smith probably was feeling. We react to disrespect, but we don't respond to disrespect. I allow myself a moment to process what's going on, like Doctor Strange. We all seen Infinity War, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember when Thanos was coming, he was sitting there meditating in the air, and he was like processing all of these scenarios. What's the best response for this incoming threat? He had to pick the one that was what?
The one that will succeed.
Yeah, advantageous for them. But to the world, it looked like what? He was weak, right? He punked out, right? Mm-hmm. I want to expose the deception of what a real man is, this world's definition of one. Because if we keep continuing to try to resolve conflict with conflict, there'll continue to be situations like we saw at the Oscars. There continue to be more bodies in the city morgue. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
A man without self-control is like a city without walls. Basically, anyone can penetrate you, your mind, your emotions. And I don't want you to be like a lot of men out here who egos get in the way and pride or their trauma, something that happened in the past. They say, that ain't gonna never happen to me again. If someone else ever speak to me like that, I'm doing this. Don't ever make a vow like that. Because you're programming your brain to basically, you're fixed on a response instead of allowing yourself to process the best decision to be made in that situation.
Now, this is what I like to see. I like to see older men kind of teach the young guys like us the game, you know what I'm saying? Like he speaks to these kids like how my dad speaks to me. And whenever I have any troubles at all, you know, like my dad, he'll pull me to the side and it's a calm conversation, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of guides me through all my situations in life. But the lesson here is very, very, very profound. Take a second, process the moment. You don't have to react right away and calculate those consequences, you know what I'm saying? Like, I run a lot of these scenarios in my head, and like a lot of times I always ask myself, like, what's the cost here? What's the consequences? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was younger, I used to be that kid that used to be like, yo, you say something about my mama, we gonna fight, or you know what I mean? And now it just goes, you know, and like it's words, and at the end of the day, like, what I'm gonna do, fight you? I got bills to pay. I fuck around and go to jail. Nobody gonna come bail me out. You know, like it's there's just no need for that now. And like as men, we kind of feel like we have to do something, especially like when it comes to when your woman's around. Like if something happened, I know a lot of times, especially women expect you to react in a certain way. Like if homie say something to your woman, like of course you might smack the shit out of him, but that might turn into more issues down the road. The easiest, not the easiest, the hardest thing to do is just let it roll over and just, you know, walk by. It's whatever. You know, your woman like look at you funny and stuff like that, but let's just say you did react, right? You react or whatever, you smack him, you shoot him or whatever. Now he got a couple homies, call him up, they follow you to your crib, whatever it is, and then you die over one little sentence of disrespect, and all that costs you your life. It's just not worth it. And like he said in the video, we gotta stop meeting conflict with conflict. This is how people die. This is how people get hurt. And it's not the easy thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. There's a lot of times where you have to just take that high road though. You can't stoop down to some people's levels, and don't change your nature because somebody else's nature is different. And that's something I learned a couple years ago. And it's hard, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's hard to apply it because a lot of times some things happen and it's hard to not react instantly. But a lot of times if you talk to people that have been in some of those situations, looking back on it, a lot of them wish they would have done things differently, because although in the moment it felt like it was worth it, looking back, it cost you a lot. So whenever you get in those situations, really ask yourself, is it worth it? What's the cost here? What's the consequences if this goes through? Try to do as much calculations as possible before you take those steps, and you know, let it sink for a second. But that's all I had. Check out Jason Wilson on YouTube. I'm gonna link it in the description as well. He has a Twitter, but the man seems pretty cool. He's an author. I'm probably gonna like check out one of his books or something like that, and just give it a read. But yeah, anyway, it's your boy RayQuan. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.